Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. That's Ready Homeschool. I'm Mrs. T. Today we're going to be doing a flip through and a discussion about how 4 different sets of early readers are set up. I'm going to show you the insides of them, and we're going to talk about the parental guidance that comes with these 4 programs. So we're going to be looking at the Bob books, Fun Tales, and 2 different book series from Scholastic, one called Laugh A Lot and one called Nonfiction Readers. And they're all going to be at the same level. We're going to be looking at short vowels, short CVC words, and basic sentences. That's kind of the general level that we're looking at right now, very early reading. Now, my child is using all of these. He currently is, again, he's doing the short vowels, he's doing CVC words. He's starting to progress to a little bit beyond that, but mostly we're still really concentrating to get through this content. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We are going to start with our Bob books. Specifically, we're going to look at collection 1 because Bob books has a number of collections and they all have different goals. But today we're going to talk about collection 1. Bob books, again, covers those CVC, short vowels, and they do expose in this series your child to every letter of the alphabet except Q. The series collection here only has 18 books, with the first book being very simple, focusing on that short A sound, that's Matt, and getting all the way to kind of like a review. So we've got Socks the Fox, which has words from all of the different short vowels, and then it also does include sight words as well. A couple, I think it was like only 4 sight words. Now, before we go into the book, I just want to point out that Bob books does come with a parent or teacher guide to go along with it. It comes inside the collection. And this one here, just kind of give you a little flip through, what it will do is it's going to kind of break down how to use the series, how you can implement it at your home, the hints, how to determine if your child is ready or not. So it does have information here on the front, and then also in the back is where it finishes. And in here are some like progress stickers. If stickers motivate your child, that might be worth implementing. Now let's take a look at the actual books, the way that it's formatted. So the first book here is Matt. This is the very first one and it's very simple. Now from a parental point of view, this one, right after the title page, includes some information here regarding the sounds, beginning sounds that you're going to be covering in here. It starts immediately with a sentence, which is a single word with a period. But throughout this short little story, you do get to the point where you are doing 4 words in a single sentence. So you have Matt sat on Sam. Now, one thing to note is on, for example, is not a short vowel word, right? Still decodable, but if your child hasn't gotten to this letter yet, there might be some additional guidance that you as the parent might need to provide. But that's basically, it's very short. It is very repetitive. They're very much so about, especially in the beginning books, about repeating and just practicing very light things. And then of course you get your little, the end page over here. But that is it. It's very simple, very small. When my child first, when we pulled these out, he did not read a whole Bob book in one sitting. Now he'll read a couple. It really just depends on your child's motivation, I think. But that's the first one. Now the last one here is a little bit different. So we have Socks the Fox, and right away as the parent, you can see we are missing that parental guidance talking about the beginning sounds because you're not actually learning beginning sounds by the end of the program. Instead, what they do is at the end of the book, they are listing out the 23 or the number of words that are in the book, and they break it down by which vowel is being covered, as well as they list out any sight words. And you will see there are definitely sight words that are introduced in here, but they're very common. They're not like anything crazy. And that's kind of how this works. By the end of the series, you no longer have those single word sentences. You do have more complex grammar and You have a variety of punctuation, you have dialogue, you have apostrophes sometimes used. So anyway, so you can see that it's definitely a little bit more advanced, but it's not like a leap and a bound, right? Your child definitely incrementally works up to this point. The other thing I just want to note with this is how many words are on the page. It is consistent throughout the whole collection one that it's pretty small. Even by the end here, you are getting one, maybe two sentences, and sometimes even a single sentence is split up. So like here is kind of a little bit of a longer sentence and split up on one or across 2 pages. So you're not really overwhelming your child with too many words on a page. And those are the Bob books. So that's great. Now let's go ahead and take a look at a different series, a completely different series, and they tackle phonics just very differently. And that's going to be Fun Tales. And this is written by Sarita Halsman. All right, so full disclosure, we just got these not too long ago. We have not even attempted to read through all of them, but we have gone through the beginning ones. So this is the very first book, and immediately you can see the number of pages is a lot smaller. There is no parental guide that comes with this specifically, but at the beginning of every book here, you are going to get a list of letters that are going to be covered inside this book. And like the Bob books, you start very small. In fact, even smaller than the Bob books. So I'm going to show you this whole story. That's how long it is. So we have this book or story about Pam with a bat. Pam bats. Bam. There we go. We just finished. So very, very small. I think that the lengthwise is good for a very early beginner. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the next or the last book in the series. There are 27 books in total, and by the end here, you can even just see by the title, you're beyond only CVC words. So, and you'll note, unlike the Bob books, this collection does include the letter Q. Like that very first book, you are going to have all those letters listed. Now you'll note that these letters are not alphabetized. They're not even in that first book alphabetized. And I'm not really sure exactly why it is organized this way. I'm wondering if it might just be by what they deem to be complex, or maybe it's the order they're introduced in. I really don't know. I haven't been able to figure it out with the amount of time that we have, but they list all the letters, and you can see immediately that this one is a single sentence on a page. I do have a couple of examples here where you get longer sentences, which is a little bit challenging, but still doable. And here's an example of a page that has 2 sentences. So it definitely, you get more text by the end on a single page than you do in the Bob books. The stories are going to be equally small though. They're only a couple of pages. You do get more pages by the end than the very first one. The first one was like only 4 pages. This one is definitely more than that, but still very small, easy to consume, and still working on those short vowels, but just a little bit longer. Like quest, because you have Q and U together, that immediately kind of pushes it a little bit. But we have not, because we haven't had this series for very long, we haven't had the opportunity to go through them all. But so far, haven't gotten any complaints. Now, he's not super excited about them. They're not his favorite books, but they're doing the job. Okay, let's move on to our 2 favorite short readers here. So we're going to start with these Nonfiction Phonics readers from Scholastic. This is the first set. They have a couple of sets, and like the Bob books, like the Fun Tales, they're kind of covering the same things, those short vowels, those CVCs. But these series absolutely shine in my mind. Okay, so let's talk about what you get in this box. So first of all, you're going to get this little letter to you as the parents, the family, and they're going to tell you how to set the tone for reading, how to implement it, how to introduce these books, how to review the words, how you can check comprehension, which is something that the other 2 series don't do at all. They don't talk about reading comprehension, which to me is like such a big part about phonics. is not only being able to decode the words, but to understand the words. And this program really does dive into that and emphasize that, the importance of that. Now it does come with a little workbook, which we haven't done anything in yet, but I do want to show you. You get the contents here. It's going to show you, you're going to get 1 page per book that is in here. And I think we have 25. Yeah, we have 25 books that are in this series. And these ones here they're very small. You're going to get a little fill in the blank all the way, where your child is going to have to kind of recall what he learned in the story and fill in the answer. And then we have a little word search with the words from the story, which is pretty cool. Now, the way that this series is broken down is they have the first 5 books are all going to be specifically focusing on a short vowel, a very specific one. And what I absolutely love about these books, you guys, is they explain in the top corner just a short preview of what the main focus is on the book. So we have it broken out by vowel, really easily to see up here. And then once you get through those short vowels, you start to go into other concepts that I think were really lacking the distinction in the other 2 programs. So we're going to be talking about adding that plural S at the end. We're going to be doing some blends, focusing on those. We have R blends, we have the S and the K combination, the S and the C combination, and they're working on different blends. It is focusing more on specific blend placement. It's very logical. The progression is wonderful. Okay, let's take a look now. We're going to compare the first book to the last book. So here we have a cat pal at the beginning of the book. Just have a title page and you just hop right into it. And you will see your child immediately is hopping into full sentences. It's not like Matt, where it is a single sentence, or like Fun Tales, or excuse me, a single word in a sentence. These are real sentences, and from the beginning you are getting a variety of punctuation, and you do get dialogue very quickly. Now at the end of these books, you are going to have each book is a little bit different, but they're all going to have your word list. So at the very beginning, you as the parent can kind of go in and check your child's readiness. You can also easily, after you're reading it, create flashcards for some of these, or you can practice and drill these words from this book and then kind of circle back to the book. So it's very easy. It's all right there for you. And again, reading comprehension questions. I love it. So the questions here are, what do the cats in the book do? And what else can cats do? So it really is getting your child to, again, decode, read the words, but then understand the words, which again is something that makes these scholastic books just absolutely incredible. Now let's take a look here at the very end of this series. So by the time you hit book 21, you're now in review land. So you have 21 through 25 are going to be reviewing all of the concepts, those short vowels, the plurals, certain blends, possessive. It's going to be pulling in, I think there was also contractions and past tense. So you're going to be practicing all of that in these last few books. So the last book here is called A Nest is Snug. And the same thing, you guys. You can see that the amount of content here has definitely increased, and this is informative. They're learning about birds and their nests, and it is just chock full of great information. They put so much thought into these books. I absolutely love them. And then the same thing at the very end, you're getting your word lists. Here we have what are called stretch words, which is more or less words that are going to be really pushing them to use a lot of their skill. They're a little bit of a stretch to do, but they can do it. They also have, again, those reading comprehension questions. Anyway, we love them. We have definitely not gone through all of them. We are still, I would say, in the first half of this series, but my child really, really likes them. Now, let's take a look. Our final one that we're looking at is going to be a a different one from Scholastic, very similar, called Laugh A Lot Phonics. And this is probably my child's favorite collection of them all. So like the other Scholastic one that I just pointed out, this one is going to have a lot of things in common. You are going to be getting that note to the family. It's going to be breaking down, stickers. It's going to be breaking down some tips here. This one also includes a grid that's going to show you an easy one-stop shops for you to refer to the different focus of each book. It has things to do before reading, during reading, and after reading. It's really great. The parental guidance on these is solid. You also have, just like the other one, a little workbook for your child. We haven't done these yet, and these are going to be a little bit different, actually. So we have, at the very beginning, we actually have a book. We have some comprehension questions that are all laid out, book by book. You then get into some short sound review, which is kind of reminiscent a little bit of like the content you get in like Explode the Code. And then you get some practice for more. So you get a little bit of that letter practice, the sound practice, a word search, and writing practice. So you can see this is a little bit more than the other book, but still kind of similar. Same deal as the other ones. You're going to get the focus here in the top. Now this one is mainly just focusing. It does not break it down in the same way as the nonfiction, where it talks about like possessive and past tense and certain blends. This one is only focusing primarily on those short vowels. So you're going to get your short vowels here, and the rest of them, or those individual vowels, and these will be just review of all of them. But you still do get a lot of the same information that you do get in the other books. But this one is less blend heavy for sure. But you do get your dialogue, you get your assorted punctuation, etc. Okay, so let's take a look here at the first book. This is Sam's Cat Jan. And it goes straight into the story. And again, you can tell that you're starting with full sentences, you're starting with punctuation. And my kid thought that these books were an absolute hoot. When we started these books, we had already been using Bob books for a little while. We did not read it in one sitting. Now we're at a point where we read one in a sitting. So at the end of the story, you're going to have some sort of read and review game, display. This does vary per book, but in here they are just rereading a lot of the sounds, a lot of the words from the book. And then we have a fun fill-in here. This is a reading comprehension fill-in. So you as the parent would read, the name of the cat is, and then they have to find the name of the cat in the list. And so they're identifying the words, they're reading them, and then they're answering the questions. And then just like the other one, the other Scholastic books, it does have word lists, and it will show you some frequency words. You can see they're adding those in kind of early, a lot earlier in this one. And then you also have your short letter words or vowel words. Okay, let's just take a look now at the very last one, which is Dot's Big Red Hat. This is a review of all of the short vowels. So you're going to get a lot of a big variety, including some completely made up magic words, which my kid thought was absolutely wonderful. So anyway, you go into the story, more text per page, and you get your dialogue, you have multiple sentences per page. I'm just going to kind of flip through. And again, you get all the way to that read and review. But here, because you're in the review book, it is going to break down the words that you're covering per short vowel sound. So you can kind of go through them in that way. And again, you have your fun fill-in, and then you have your word list. There you go. There you have it. So my final thoughts, because this video is getting a little long. My final thoughts. I thought that Bob books were a very good first start. I understand why they are so popular, but I will say I find these Scholastic books to be a better fit for my family and for my child. Specifically, there are things that I think that you get from these Scholastic books that you don't get from, well, Scholastic actually made the Bob books too. But there are things that you can get from like these Nonfiction Phonics readers that you just don't get in these other early reader options like fun tales, for example. I love the parental guidance. I love the reading comprehension. And I love that you start with sentences. You don't have to read this whole book in one go, but I love it. I also love that these are nonfiction, so your child is learning something through reading. As much as I enjoy, the stories about Dot or Matt, and my kid does like those from like the Bob books, I just feel like it's nice to have a little bit of nonfiction and getting your child used to reading both silly and real life. I think that is really neat. It's a very cool concept. All right, so right now we actually already own, I got from Costco, the Bob books will be owned. So we have collections 1, 2, and 3. So we will continue through the Bob books. But if I didn't have 2 and 3 already in hand, I probably wouldn't be buying the Bob books next. I think we would be focusing more on the scholastic style. They have also comic book ones. They have other fiction readers. They have early readers, science readers. They have so many different ones that are very similar. They're written by the same person, who is Liza Charlesworth. So I really like them. I can't praise them enough. And we will actually be getting the next set we're going to be getting set 1, I think, of the comic, and then we're going to be getting set 2 of the nonfiction and the Laugh-A-Lot here pretty soon. So that is it, you guys. Hopefully you found this to be a little bit helpful. Comment down below. Let me know what your favorite readers are as a family. I cannot wait to hear about it. We're always looking to try new things. So thank you very much, everyone. You have a great day. Bye.